Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for educational purpose only. This is the case of the Idaho 4. May the victims rest in peace, condolence to their families, and may the correct justice be served. I'd like to start by apologizing. I'm still down with the flu. Recovering, thank God. Today I'd like to talk about Ethan and XANAS. May they rest in peace. I've always focused my theories especially on the couple. The reason being, if we go back to the very beginning of this case, you would remember that the police always had issues with the couple's timelines. What I find strange is that nobody knew or nobody came in with information where the couple was. We know between 8 to 9 p.m., E and his triplets and Maisie, his sister's roommate, went together to the Betty Ball. That was between 8 to 9 p.m. What happened after 9 p.m. up to 2 a.m. is quite unknown. The couple used to take pictures, social media pictures, they used to share pictures. They were a lively couple, loved by many, but they were brewing issues with the frats, especially the Davids, allegedly. We know there was a Sigma Chi or Sigma Chi fraternity party that night. At 3:01, a 911 call was made from the Sigma Chi. Let's not confuse that with the Banfield call, because the Banfield call started at 2:54. What happened at the Sigma Chi fraternity party is the 1 million question. Brian Christopher Kohlberger, who's been charged with this horrific crime, said from the beginning that Bethany Funk has exculpatory evidence. Bethany Funk was at the Sigma Chi fraternity party. And we've heard from the 911 call that Bethany Funk called DM and she said she saw XANAS in black clothing. That could be the exculpatory evidence too. In the beginning of this case, Ashley Banfield told us 2 years ago that her sources told her that DM heard rummaging upstairs and she thought it was the Sigma Chi fraternity boys. Ashley Banfield found out from her sources that Ethan was found on the doorway of XANAS' room. This is important because of the fact that the 911 call doesn't mention Ethan. Where was Ethan? If E was found near XANAS doorway, that exposes a lot. Because if you go back to the 911 call, let's not forget that TM said she saw Xana unconscious, allegedly lying on the floor. Her legs were towards the doorway. If DM saw that, why didn't she mention that E was blocking the doorway of Xana's room? She would have noticed Ethan first, not Xana. Something is not right here. The sources of Ashley Banfield were from the grand jury. It leaked out. This is the article from Airmail by Howard Bloom. Pay attention when the police drove up to 1122 Kings Road. If you read the last two sentences, you would notice that there was a crowd of people there. Somebody muttered the words "dead" to the officers. How did they know that people were unalived in the house? Common sense would tell us that there were many people inside the house before the cops even arrived. They must have gone upstairs to both the floors and checked on the victims. I personally believe that they went upstairs and they found Ethan on the doorway of Xana, in front of the doorway. And they must have found Xana lying on the floor. Kaylee and Maddie would be very interesting because whoever went up to the third floor should be investigated properly because the knife sheath was found there. Nothing makes sense of the 911 call because I personally believe that the students are covering it up. The surviving roommates' stories don't make sense. Hunter went upstairs and took a knife from the kitchen. Why would you take a knife? Unless you heard exactly what happened, or unless he was there and knew what happened, in my opinion. The first thing that is done in a crime scene is it's sealed off. But what happens when people have already tampered the crime scene? The surviving roommates did not call 911 for 8 to 9 hours. The reason I say 9 hours is because the previous time we were given, the previous timeline, was 3 to 4. That would make it 9 hours. And that's concerning. "11 a.m. in the morning is allegedly when the roommates woke up and found the scene they found, the horrific scene. According to airmail. But we could see there were phone activities going on. Weren't these people calling them mother and fathers? Their home phones? MJ or JM? What was actually going on? Who is lying? When did they call Hunter? 4 a.m. or 11 a.m.? We were told in the beginning that Hunter was called because the door was locked. But let's not forget, Ethan was found on the doorway, so they would have seen him first. We saw the red liquid leaking from outside the house, outside XANAS' room. Make this make sense. On the 3rd floor, Kaylee and Maddie were found. Kaylee, to be reported, had been hacked with the particular Fraternity. I wonder if that is what Hoodie Guy was carrying in his jacket. Or could that be what was found in Maddie's jacket, allegedly? It was intent on gouging out chunks of her flesh. Trigger warning. Large punctures was how the lacerations have been described. Maddie's wounds, while no less fatal, appeared less feral, more measured, at least in comparison. Now picture this. If this was Beaky or one suspect, could that one suspect have so much time to carve Ethan's legs? May he rest in peace. Could one person have done so much damage and injuries to Kaylee with the Fraternity, allegedly? This seems to be very personal, hateful, revenge, jealousy. This was suspects who had time, who pre-planned this, who had no mercy, empathyless, sociopathic. This are psychopaths, in my opinion. People that have no empathy for humans or animals. That is one of the reasons I don't believe Brian Koberger did this. This is someone with strong motives, not a peeping Tom who got turned off by one of these girls. Koberger had no motive with these girls. He didn't even know them. I always believed that he could have been buying rugs from this house. I'm not putting the victims down, but the truth needs to be told. This was a party house. People were selling rugs. Bethany Funk, Miss Escapoto evidence needs to be investigate it properly. There's a reason BK asked for her. Because maybe she was the one selling him rugs. Yes, I said it. Her Venmos show it. People were asking her for coke, telling her to put it under some garbage can. I have always stood for the theories and speculations that it's the frats. Banfield, Grub Truck, and the Corner Club, and the figures running, tells us everything. I analyze, I observe, I watch behavior patterns. I bring pieces together. Who was where? Especially between the timelines, between 2 to 4 or 2 to 3:30. I personally believe this was all pre-planned. And I've always said it was an inside job too. Somebody in the inside let them in. The suspects. Not a suspect. So the sources told Banfield that Ethan was unalived at the doorway of XANAS' room. These were the things that were leaking from the grand jury. So pay attention. If E was found at the doorway, wouldn't everyone have seen him? Wouldn't there have been more red liquid? Why are the surviving roommates' statements not making sense? Could E have been sleeping or lying on the bed? And when these suspects, in my opinion, the frats, came to attack him, he jumped up to fight and they sliced his throat at the doorway, allegedly. I believe XANA was found inside a room, and it was XANA's blood that was leaking and seeping out of the house. I hate to be talking about this, but I have to. It's heartbreaking. These are young children. Their life just started. So if he was found in the doorway, why aren't they coming forth with the truth? The surviving roommates, why are they changing it? Why are they pretending that the door was locked? That was what we were told in the beginning. That's the reason they called Hunter. And then when the 911 call came out, we heard no, the door was actually open. Then how could they miss a young man who's 6.4 feet tall lying on the doorway? Make this make sense. Who is lying? Hunter? Allegedly? DM? BF? Emily A? Or the group that was standing outside and told the police people are dead? That's the only word they muttered. Who is lying? for the crowd to have seen the horrific crime site. I believe E was found in the corridor, in the doorway of XANAS' room. And if he was found in the doorway of XANAS' room, it proves that DM saw both XANA and Ethan. She's lying. Yes, allegedly she's lying. She couldn't have missed 2 dead bodies, one on the doorway and one inside the room. How could she say that she thought XANA was unconscious when the house had to be smelling of red liquid? It had to be smelling of decomposition. These people did not call 911 for 8 hours or 9 hours. Please let me know what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe. May the correct justice be served. I'll be making a couple of clips today. I really apologize if my voice is terrible. This flu has just been going up and down for me. Hopefully I'll get better soon. But there's so much I have to say about this case that I just have to continue for the sake of these 4 victims and for the sake of the correct justice. Brian Koberger deserves the correct justice, and so does these 4 victims.